experience today. We are incredibly excited to be partnering with Dr. Akua Woolbright and the Whole Cities Foundation to host the Let's Talk Food series. Dr. Akua Woolbright is a nutrition program director at the Whole Cities Foundation, an organization on a mission to improve individual and community health through collaborative partnerships, education, and broader access to nutritious food. Through the Let's Talk Food Nutrition program, Dr. Akua offers free cooking and wellness classes in several locations across the United States. She strives to empower individuals and communities to live healthier lives by providing authoritative nutritional information, passionate inspiration, and genuine support. Thank you so much for being here with us, Dr. Akua. But before I hand it off to you, I'd like to go over a few housekeeping items. Please make sure you grab paper and pen to take notes, and feel free to ask questions, whether directly to Dr. Akua or to everyone in this meeting through the chat. And we will have someone monitoring the chat box, so the questions will be answered at the end during the Q&A session. Dr. Akua, take it away.
Thank you guys so much for having me. We're at the end of our series. I'm gonna miss you guys when we're done. I've had so much fun this week, so I really appreciate this opportunity. So we've had an opportunity to talk about, how to build a healthy diet, immunity, regulating blood sugar, having a healthy mood, and today we're gonna try to put it all together and do some goal setting. So I'm gonna dive right in because once again, we have a lot to cover, so buckle up and write quickly. So what I'm really trying to do in this series is give you guys an opportunity to stop dieting and jumping from one dietary trend to the next to finally settle into a lifestyle that you can enjoy and maintain for the rest of your lives. So as we mentioned earlier this week, there's so many dietary trends out there, and we'll see some of the fads come and go. There's different titles and labels for the new dietary path that people are following. There's all kinds of ideas for how you can lose weight and keep it off. But I just ask you to know your body for yourself, even with the things I'm teaching you. Don't just take my word for it. I accept the challenge. I want you to go home, apply the information, integrate it into your lives, and see what works for you. Some people do very well on a 100% vegan diet. They feel great in their bodies. They feel whole and healthy. Other people need more animal products. Some people, can go on a low carb diet for a while, lose some weight, come off of it, and that works really well for them. So each person is different. So one way you can start discovering what works for you is to be very mindful around what you're eating and how you feel during and after. It may be helpful to keep a food diary so you can actually chart when you feel more bloated, when you maybe are getting hives, you may feel colder or hot. Your body can change in so many ways in response to food. And some of the ways your body responds won't seem like it's connected to diet, but it very well may be. So by keeping a close eye on how your body changes after you eat certain foods or implement a particular lifestyle, you'll become more familiar about what works for you. And I just ask you also to not only check in with how your body feels, but ask yourself how your heart and your soul feel. If you feel too restrictive, like you're just restricted and you can't eat anything that you want and all the joy is gone, you're not happy and excited about your food when you get home, that may not be the right dietary plan for the long run. So what really separates this program, which is based on the 4 pillars that I will tell you about again in a minute, is that it's not a quick lose weight fast program. It really is a comprehensive program that will help you not only maintain your weight, but also perhaps reduce medications, perhaps feel better in your body, and prevent and reverse disease. It's meant to be a program that you can implement and maintain for your lifetime. So those are some of the things I want you to think about as you start finding your takeaways from this series. Really find a program that speaks to you, mind, body, and soul. That's a program you can be excited about. And when you're excited, you'll do it for your lifetime. So that really is the goal. So I want to start with that. And we see that happening with our programs around the country. We have students who've been coming to us since 2013 and 14 now. And you see them, losing weight and keeping it off. We have people drastically reducing their medications. They are dodging surgeries and other medical interventions. And we get so many testimonials for them about how this has really helped them to reverse and prevent disease. And so I want you to have those same opportunities. And although I don't have time to go in all the details and give you all of the information I would like to, I'm hoping that at least this is a starting place for you, and that I've given you some things to think about that you can start to implement in your own lifestyles. If you're looking for more information so you can do this on your own, I have mentioned Dr. Joel Fuhrman. He has books out already. He has a website you can go to. His last name is spelled Fuhrman. And Michael Greger on his website, nutritionfacts.org, also has some great information to help you get started. If you're looking for recipes, you can Google your favorite meals online. You can go to Forks Over Knives. They have beautiful recipes online, and just have fun exploring and finding foods and dietary tips that work for you. So now that I got that out of the way, I want to do a recap of the week. So Monday, we really talked about how to build a healthy lifestyle, and I'll just give you two of the pillars, because the first two pillars really are our mantra, and it's really whole foods, plant-based. And all we're really saying is that you're looking for foods that are whole, real, made by nature, not by man. So we're going to skip the food manufacturing companies, all those box and convenience foods, junk foods, and also the fast food. And we're going to instead look at our great grandmother's natural outdoor environment and see what she could have brought indoors to prepare meals from scratch. By plant-based, we just mean eating a variety of plant foods, and particularly looking at those colors, because we know when we eat a rainbow of produce, we're getting those micronutrients, like antioxidants and phytonutrients that can actually nourish, heal, and regenerate our systems, organs, cells, and DNA. That is where our food becomes medicine. In the second class, we dove into a little bit more specifics around immunity. And again, when we look at those immune boosting foods, we're really looking at the color of the rainbow once again, and especially the orange, yellow, and green foods. We also talked about some supplements and superfoods, herbs and spices you can include in your diet to help boost immunity even more. Things like ICE, echinacea, elderberry, ginger, garlic, onions, mushrooms, and mushroom tea. We looked at things like spirulina, turmeric, and also vitamin C and D. The final thing we talked about as a great immune booster was protein, because we know that our immune antibodies are made from protein. So that was a recap of our immunity class. Yesterday, we talked about mood and foods that can help regulate blood sugar. And you're going to see a theme here. We keep going right back to whole foods, plant-based, as the foundation for any condition we're trying to address. And again, as many colors as possible. When we look at foods for regulating blood sugar, of course, we're looking at those whole grains, and we mean a variety of whole grains, not just whole wheat. We're looking at those less sugary fruits, those more tart fruits like apples, berries, and citrus. We're, of course, going to load up on those non-starchy vegetables, especially those dark green leafy vegetables, which are also alkalizing and detoxifying. And we're going to look at some fats. We need fat in our diet, especially those omega-3 fatty acids. So when you're looking at regulating blood sugar, we want to move away from saturated fat and instead choose things like avocado, olive oil, and those fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, anchovies, things of that nature. The other thing that we talked about with the blood sugar was making sure we get plenty of beans into our diet, because we know people who eat beans for breakfast are better able to regulate their blood sugar for the rest of the day. So if we had stopped there with this series and never talked about anything else, that would really be a very strong foundation for you to get started. added some things into the conversation yesterday around macronutrient composition, and that may get confusing for people, especially those of you who are used to doing a high protein diet or a high fat diet and a very low carb diet. I don't teach that because as we have time at the end, I'll get into why. But basically, we need those macronutrients in a certain composition. The human body is very ancient. We have the same DNA as our very first ancestors, right? And so our bodies have been built to receive carbohydrate for brain food and fuel. And we need protein to build muscle and antibodies. We need fat for our central nervous system and a healthy cardiovascular system. But for some people who may have stubborn weight and they have really authentically tried everything to lose weight, they're eating clean, they may be vegan, they're eating only natural foods from the earth, and the weight is still being stubborn. You see this especially in women over 40, over 45, who may have some hormonal imbalances, and you may have some people who really have stubborn blood sugar. I had some of that. Even though I'm vegan and plant-based, my blood sugar was never over the amount, but it was creeping up higher than I want it to be. So I wasn't pre-diabetic yet, but I just didn't like where my numbers were. I wanted my numbers to be very low, in the very low range and very normal range. And so for me, I had to pull back on some of the carbohydrates, right? I'm still gonna get enough, right, to feed my brain, to make sure I have the right energy, but I have to really work to balance the protein, fat, and carbs. And we did get into that conversation a little bit yesterday. And so the thing I'll give you to take away from that again is, if you are one of those people who are struggling with weight or blood sugar, you may want to look at your fatty proteins like salmon and eggs, and let those fatty proteins count as both protein and fat. You may want to look at those plant-based proteins like beans, and let those plant-based proteins count as both protein and carb. So for me, I do beans by themselves. I don't do beans with something starchy like sweet potato or rice. If I'm doing beans, that's my starch and that's my protein. I do that so I can just pull the carbs back just a little bit and be in better control of my blood sugar. That does not mean that you're going to go on a low carb diet for a long period of time, or a low fat diet, or a low protein diet for long periods of time, because we really do need those macronutrients in balance for optimal health. And if you're already healthy, your numbers are great, you're already thin and trim, maybe you're more athletic, you can just stick with whole foods, plant strong, and lots of color, and the message can stop there for you. This macronutrient focus is something we spend hours on in class for people who are really struggling with weight and blood sugar. So I hope that kind of clarifies that. If anyone has questions and want me to send you, documents or give you more information, email me at akua.woolbright@wholefoods.com. Now, let's bring it all together. One way to bring this all together, we talked about yesterday, was in breakfast. So find ways to get your protein, fiber / carbs, and fat at breakfast time, because the more hearty your breakfast can be, the better able you are to get ahead of your cravings and to stop your blood sugar from crashing in the first place. So starting breakfast with something that includes protein, fat, and fiber is a great way to set yourself up for success for the rest of the day. So it may be beans with avocado on top, or beans made with a little bit of olive oil or coconut oil. It may be an oatmeal with some fruit and nuts added to it. It may be a salad with a little bit of chickpeas on top, or a little bit of salmon on top. It may be a smoothie made with hemp seeds. So those examples I just gave you are ways to get the protein, the fat, and the fiber all at once. And when we can do that consistently, we can get ahead of those cravings. And this is how your plan begins to stick. This is when it becomes a lifestyle, because now you're in the driver's seat and you feel in control. You're not agitated, you're not irritated, you feel nourished. You can make a healthy choice because you're not starving. So for me, I recommend that you drink water throughout the day, starting early in the morning, have a hearty breakfast. I prefer plant-based opposed to things that will make your blood sugar crash, like pancakes, sausage, bacon, eggs, biscuits, right? And then have maybe a piece of fruit around 10:30, 11, Or maybe you have a little bit of your lunch salad early and then have a plant-based lunch. Have maybe something else to eat around 3 o'clock. That's important so you can go drive home and your tank is still full, and you can pass by all those fast food restaurants with like a boss because you're in control, you're not worried about it, right? And then have another plant-based dinner. If you do this, you may start to see that by dinner time, you're not really that hungry because you've given yourself enough calories throughout the day. You can't skip meals and skip over calories. You will start to crave and starve, and then you can't make a clear choice and a clear decision. If you nourish yourself throughout the day, right, with protein throughout the day, carbs and a little bit of fat, right? You're eating your colors throughout the day. You're drinking water throughout the day. A lot of times by 6 o'clock I'm done. Like I'm feeling nourished. I'm feeling satisfied. I may look at my nutrients and decide I still need a little bit more. That may be when I do another smoothie or a large salad. But find your own rhythm and find what works for you. Whole Kids Foundation, one of our partner foundations, talks a lot about eating a salad or soup before every meal. Why do they recommend that? They recommend that because when you get those micronutrients in at the top of every meal, you are beginning to feel more full. You're beginning to feel more nourished because you have some calories in your body, you have some bulk and some fiber in your body, but you're also filling yourself up with micronutrients. And we know that those three things, calories, bulk, and micronutrients, turn the craving switch off. So by eating the salad or soup before your meal, you may eat less of the ribs, or you may skip dessert. So you see, you're putting yourself in the driver's seat. You're taking charge and making active decisions. So that is one way you can think about turning cravings off. Now we want to get into goal setting. And I believe you guys received a handout with some information about how to set goals and a little chart I want you to look at. So I'm going to start talking about that handout now. After you complete this series, you may be ready to adopt some changes or make some tweaks in your existing lifestyle plan. But to do so, you need to set clear goals. As Benjamin Franklin says, by failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. And we don't want to be in that position. So I want to first ask you to take a few minutes to really think about what motivates you. Why did you join this series? What makes you happy? What brings you joy? What do you have to look forward to? What gives you just purpose in life? And when you think about those things that you have to live for, then you want your body to be as healthy as it can so you can go out there and live your best life. If you want to go on vacation, you don't want to have to be in a wheelchair or on a walker if you can avoid it. For some people, that's just the situation they're in. But if you have health right now and mobility right now, try to preserve it. It's a privilege. It's an honor to be in this body, right? So think about ways that you can start honoring your body more and think about what you have to live for. And then maybe that will be your motivation to do the work for you. That's important to know your why, right? Because we give it all away to other people. We'll show up to work on time. We'll take care of our children to the best of our ability. We'll take care of our parents. But so many times we overlook ourselves. So this is an opportunity for you to think about you and loving and caring for you. So get an index card or a Post-it and write down your why and put it somewhere that will be inspiring to you. On the dash of your car, on your bathroom mirror, on your coffee table, dining room table, so you can have that reminder to come back to self and think about the commitment you've made for your wellness journey. Now, once you've done that, we want to start setting goals. And when you set goals, we have to make sure they're more than a statement. And I'll give you my favorite example. So many times we grumble and mumble and we say things like, man, I gotta lose weight. And I often remind people, well, that's great, but that's just a statement. To make that a goal, you have to make it more clear. It has to be things that are clear, specific, measurable, and realistic. So for instance, instead of saying, I want to lose weight, you might perhaps change that to say, I want to lose 20 pounds. So when I say I want to lose 20 pounds, that's clear and I can measure it. Either I lose the 20 pounds or I don't. So we start bringing accountability into our goal setting when we create something that we can actually measure. And it kind of puts us in action mode. I want to lose weight. Well, when and how much? So by saying I want to lose 20 pounds, it becomes more clear. Then we want to do what I like to call time stamping. We want to actually decide the time frame in which we want to reach that goal. So you may say something like, I want to lose 20 pounds by Halloween. Well, Halloween is only about a month away, so that goal probably isn't realistic. That's the other criteria that your goal must meet. It must not only be measurable and clearly stated, it must be realistic, something that you can achieve within that set time frame. So it's probably not realistic to lose 20 pounds in a month because we'll use women for an example. Most women can only lose on an average of anywhere from 4 to 8 pounds per month. So maybe we say we want to lose 20 pounds by Valentine's Day. Why so long out? Why so far out? Because this is going to be a journey. We want to take our time so we have time to tweak our plan, have some setbacks, have some slip-ups, and then really start to get our rhythm with our new lifestyle. You may start out with a particular exercise program that you can't maintain. You may start out with a particular dietary path that's not bringing the weight off on the scale. So by setting the goal further out, you give yourself permission to experiment and to find your way, to find your rhythm without becoming discouraged because you didn't lose 20 pounds in 3 weeks. So set it a little bit further out so that it's more realistic and you have time to experiment. Something else to be mindful of, when you first start a new dietary and lifestyle plan, especially around weight loss, you may drop the first 6-8 pounds quickly. So a lot of times we're losing water weight. So don't be surprised if you drop several pounds and then stall. That's normal. So don't be discouraged, keep going. And then when your goal setting, it's also important to create, short-term and long-term goals. So if you know you're going to lose about 4 to 8 pounds per month, decide, well, how many will I lose in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months? Have those short and long-term goals laid out in advance, because this is how you can check yourself to see, am I still making progress towards my goal? And then you can have an accountability check and realize, well, maybe I've been cheating on my diet a little bit more. Maybe I've missed exercising for the past couple of weeks because I've been busy at work. Or maybe I need to tweak my dietary plan a little bit more. Maybe I need to take some of the fatty seafood out of my diet, for example. So by having short and long-term goals, you have something to work towards, but you also can kind of assess whether the plan you have in place is actually effective. So now that you have your goals in place, your goals need goals. So if you're trying to lose 20 pounds by Valentine's Day, and perhaps you want to lose 60 pounds by this time next year, for example, then how are you going to do that? So write down your exact number of steps you want to take each day. Write down how many days you're going to work on resistance training. Are you going to incorporate yoga? If so, which days are you doing that? Have a set plan or goals for how you're going to reach your goal. And then have your recipes already laid out. Know what you're eating every day. Don't let dinner come and you're trying to figure it out. You set yourself up for sabotage that way because you may be too exhausted, you can't think clearly, so you just grab anything, or you'll stop by a fast food restaurant on your way home. No, you have to shop and meal prep and kind of almost write it out. Like, my food becomes very kind of redundant. I know what I'm eating for breakfast, lunch, and I kind of know, right? And so it really sets you up for success if you have a really clear plan for what you're going to eat. I often joke, Americans are some of the few people that wait to dinner time to go, oh, what's for dinner, right? When I've lived other places, people are really much more mindful about what they're going to eat. because perhaps they're shopping at the market every day. They're not going to the grocery store once or, just once a week. So they're being more mindful about their dietary intake. So give some thought to it. And then, make sure that that's really specific as well. And you can set yourself up for success also by kind of purging your kitchen, clean out those pantries, and restock with healthy options. You can't grab the ice cream if it's not there. And you may not be likely to get in your car and go drive to the store to get it, or you might. You might, but no, don't do that, right? So for me, by purging my house and only keeping the healthy options close by, if I wanted something sweet, my options right now in my home today are dried prunes and apricots. That's all I have that's sweet in my entire house. So I'm forced to go to those because I don't have any other things tempting me. So those are some of the ways that you can start thinking about your goal setting. You also have a chart that we sent you. On one side, we have all those obstacles. On the second side, we have a place for challenges, right? And we have a lot of blank spaces for you to write your own obstacles and your solutions down. So on the left-hand side are obstacles and challenges. On the right-hand side are solutions. That's important because if you just keep talking about your obstacles, then it almost becomes excuses after a certain point. And I want you guys to move towards action. So for instance, if you know you don't have time to cook or you're too tired to cook, maybe you figure out which day of the week you're gonna do batch cooking for the week. I do rotational cooking, which means I like to keep things kind of in motion. I may have beans and rice one day, the rice may be left, but the beans may be gone. So I may then cook some sweet potato and broccoli, and then the rice may be gone, but then I may cook some chickpeas. I kind of keep foods kind of rotating in and out. Maybe you do a food share. Some friends of mine are doing this, where they're taking turns cooking throughout the week and then sharing the food. You can Google 15-minute recipes, things you can make very quickly, and that maybe the kids can even help you make. If you don't know what to eat, you're just getting tired of your food, you're running out of ideas. There's all kinds of cool food magazines. We sell some at the register. You can look for cool recipes on Pinterest or online. Again, Forks Over Knives has some great recipes on their website. Don't know how to cook. Well, again, you can do an online search, get a great cookbook, Google ideas. But this would be a great way also. I did this when my grandmother was still alive. I would call her and ask her, how do you make that curry cabbage that you do, right? Maybe you ask a grandmother or aunt. They would love to have that conversation with you. And what a wonderful way to connect, right? When you're traveling or eating out, I always pack protein powder in a Ziploc bag and take it with me. You can take dried fruit, you can take nuts and seeds. You can eat before you get on the plane. I eat before I go to parties sometimes. I'm not sure what they'll have that I can eat. A friend of mine, he travels a lot for work. He's a PhD level epidemiologist. He always books a hotel close to Whole Foods Market. And I'm not just making that up. I'm always so impressed. He always books his hotels near Whole Foods Market. And when he travels by car, he maps out where the Whole Foods Market stores are, and he'll go in and he'll get his meals that way. So get creative. And the whole idea is that you take charge and let nothing stop you. If you're too tired to go to the gym, you can work at home. You can do home videos. There's cable videos. You can jump rope, walk your stairs, do sit-ups, push-ups. You have cravings. Again, eat your super salad first before your meal. Or if you're craving chocolate, maybe pay attention to that craving, but just eat the salad anyway. Or eat the leftover bean chili anyway. Eat the leftover salmon anyway. Just a little bit. You may see those cravings turn off. Sometimes we think we're craving chocolate or chips, but we may be craving potassium, iron, calcium, or other nutrients. So observe the craving, but make a healthy choice anyway. And over time, you may find out that those cravings start to fall away. So I give you that as a challenge. Over the next couple of weeks, every time you crave something, I want you to observe it and make another choice. And then check back with yourself after a couple of weeks of consistently doing that and see if you feel different about some of the foods you used to crave. So I think that's about it. The final thing I will say to you in closing before we start taking questions is to consider getting an accountability partner, someone who can help you. Whole Foods Market, through our insurance plan, used to have like health coaches. I don't remember we still have those or not, but maybe finding a health coach or finding a friend who's into fitness and health to be your accountability partner. And through it all, just be loving and gentle with yourself. Lifestyle changes take a while to, become natural. It takes a while for us to find our rhythm. So it just requires a lot of patience and practice over time. So just acknowledge your setbacks, right? Celebrate your successes. And the most important thing is never, never give up. So I will stop there and we'll open up for Q&A. How many carbs a day is sufficient? That's the thing that's kind of tricky, and why I'm saying to you that you have to know your own body. While the recommendation is up to 40% or 45% of our daily intake should come from carbohydrates, for some people that's too many. For me, that's too many. Very similar to how they'll say that women can consume up to 2,000 calories a day. I can't consume anywhere near 2,000 calories a day. Even when I'm like walking and doing yoga and doing exercise, my calories have to stay under 1,400, pretty low. If I'm working out even very aggressively, I may be able to get up to 1,400, 1,500, but I've had a lot of testing and my metabolic rate is just very, very low. So I have to know that for my body and ignore the recommendations of up to 2,000 calories. So for carbs, while the recommendation is up to 45% of total calories coming from carbohydrates, if you find that you're feeling bloated or just like your body is swelling, you don't feel comfortable in your body, you can't get the weight off, you can't control your blood sugar, you may be one of those people who just needs to pull the carbs back just a little bit. Another way you can think about that is if you're in that category of having stubborn weight or blood sugar, you may want to do just maybe your fistful of carbs for the entire day. Now, you wouldn't want to stay there because we do not want to do a low carb diet for the rest of your life, because that could be dangerous for your brain, fuel, and energy, right? But it may be a way to jumpstart the weight loss or jumpstart the blood sugar maintenance. And then you can work yourself up to a fistful of carbohydrate at each meal. And then, you know what, and when I say carbs, I don't mean just your grains and your beans. You're going to eat fibrous vegetables too for your carbohydrates, like broccoli, those green leafy vegetables, carrots, cauliflower, your apples. Those are great carbs to get in. So for me, I have to get my carbohydrate more from the green and colorful vegetable category and less from the grain category. So that may be another way to look at it. Which type of carbs are you getting? While we're only consuming whole grains from the earth, some people don't do as well with the grains and the beans as others. So you will become familiar with your body to know how you feel at the 45% of calories from carbohydrates. That's really optimal for brain energy and fuel, right? But then do you need to get those more from the green and colorful vegetables and less from the whole grains and the legumes? And while I'm there, I want to answer some questions from yesterday that I didn't get to. Someone asked me about the ketogenic diet. And that diet has been shown to contribute to weight loss, and there's some important metabolic changes and improvements from having a ketogenic diet. But I would just really caution anyone who's trying that to do it for a short run. That diet was originally developed for people who have epilepsy. It was really surprisingly helping people to avoid having seizures. But we know when we take our body into ketosis, we're really reducing the carbohydrates so low that it can be detrimental to our brain over the long time. So I see some physical personal trainers and some naturopathic doctors using the ketogenic diet for maybe a month or two. Why do they do that? It gives their clients hope to be able to see some weight shed pretty quickly and for their numbers to improve pretty quickly. And so I think it's a great way to transition to a healthy lifestyle and have a jump start. But for me, the people I see who do it really well, while the person is on the ketogenic diet, they're also training them how to incorporate a healthier diet So when they come off the ketogenic diet, they then have a diet they're going to maintain for the rest of their lives, right? It's very hard in the long run to live on such extreme carbohydrate restriction. And here's some things that can happen when you do so. You may experience hunger. You may not feel satisfied, so you may have low satiety. You may experience fatigue, low mood, irritability, constipation, headaches, brain fog. There's an increased risk of kidney stones, osteoporosis, and blood levels of uric acid, which can contribute to gout. And there's possible nutrient deficiencies. So I think that the ketogenic diet, while it's very successful in the short run, a month or two, and I'm all for using that to give someone hope that they can see those great improvements, I wouldn't recommend it for your lifestyle. And remember, we said that, oh, and also when you're eating a diet that could be high in fat, you're going to really increase your bad cholesterol and maybe push down your HDL or your good cholesterol. And we don't want to set someone up for heart disease or other conditions. So remember, when we talk about the whole foods, plant strong diet, it's not supposed to be gimmicky or like a fad or so restrictive. You're supposed to enjoy your food, mind, body, and soul. So when you're making a dietary choice, just be honest with yourself and find that path that's going to be personally yours, maybe different than mine, that feeds you on all levels, that you're happy with, that you're excited. You should be happy to eat your meal. Like we're supposed to enjoy our food, right? So how do you enjoy your food while keeping it clean? So find that balance for you. The other question that came through yesterday that I wasn't able to answer because I hadn't heard of berberine. Someone asked about using berberine to curb sugar and carb cravings. And I found that there is some promising research findings around its ability to regulate blood sugar. And so when you have any of these questions about ketogenic diet, any other type of lifestyle or dietary path, any type of supplement, I'm going to give you some places where you can go, where you can find these answers for yourself. These are places that nutritionists and doctors who use food as medicine will go for answers. We go to PubMed, PubMed. So look for peer-reviewed articles on PubMed on a variety of topics. You can also go to Medline, Medline, for peer-reviewed research articles. I mentioned yesterday Dr. Michael Greger. His last name is spelled Gregor. He has a great, robust website, nutritionfacts.org. You can go to the National Library of Medicine, which is a part of the National Institutes of Health. So just put in Berberine, National Library of Medicine, and all this information will pop up. Put in ketogenic diet, National Institute of Health, and all this information will pop up. Other places I like to go would be the Mayo Clinic. You can look at the Cleveland Clinic or harvard.edu. Harvard University has a lot of research on nutrition and wellness. So look at harvard.edu, Cleveland Clinic, Mayo Clinic, National Libraries of Medicine, National Institutes of Health, nutritionfacts.org, Medline, or PubMed. So you can be empowered to make your own decisions. We have a question coming in. What do you think about a plant-based whole keto diet? Someone just, okay, so we kind of talked about that already. So this would be a little bit of an improvement, because if you're looking at a whole foods plant-based keto diet, you are going to be pulling out some of the saturated fat, right? So you're going to be getting your fat from more of those omega-3 fatty acids, like your avocado, your olive oil, and maybe even if you're not vegan and just plant-based, maybe even a little bit of salmon. So I think that's an improvement, but I still be concerned with over-consuming fat, because in the long run, I do think it's important to have the micronutrients in balance. Why do people find the ketogenic diet effective? I think, again, because it can contribute to very rapid weight loss. And the fat in that diet is nourishing, right? It is very soothing to our brain, and it feels we feel warm and satisfied when we get fat in our diet, right? So I'm not as against the plant-based ketogenic diet, but still just see how you feel on it, right? And see if you really believe it's something you can do for the rest of your life. If you feel completely satisfied, you're completely happy, you're in your best body, and have your blood work done. Go to a doctor who practices functional medicine. Functional medicine doctors treat systems, not symptoms, and they do so much blood work. They can tell you if your potassium levels are off. They can tell you if your homocysteine levels are off. So a lot of vegans don't get enough vitamin B12. And if your homocysteine levels go up, they can put you at risk of heart disease. So sometimes when you are manipulating the macronutrients on your own without knowing your blood work and without working with the doctor, you may be losing weight. You may be getting rid of the bloating. You may be regulating blood sugar, but you could be putting your heart at risk. Or you could be putting your brain at risk. I'm trying to give you information that can bring everything into balance and give you total health and wellness. So again, you don't have to do it my way. I'm just introducing some concepts. You go experiment on your own. I want you to be empowered to make choices that are right for you. We're not all the same, right? But just do a check on how you truly feel. And maybe every 6 months, get your blood work done. And then once you get something that's really working for you, you can break that down and only get your blood work done once a year. So that's what I do. I get my blood work done to make sure my vegan diet is working for me and seeing where I need to make some tweaks. Having your blood work just answers a whole bunch of questions, because then you know for sure, you're not guessing. Because again, you don't want to lose weight and feel great about that and have no idea that your heart's at risk, or have no idea that your kidneys are at risk. So please, please see a doctor, especially one who practices functional medicine. Last question. Should we aim for 50% of calories from fats and protein? So she's asking then about I guess from the carbohydrates being 45%. Again, like I was saying earlier, those are the government recommendations. I don't always exactly follow all of those, but I will say that based on those recommendations, they are looking for up to half of your diet coming from carbohydrates. I'll emphasize again, when we say carbohydrates, we mean whole grains, not just grains and legumes, but also the green and colorful vegetables. So for me, I probably get more of my diet from the green and colorful vegetables than anything else. That's what works for me. And then with your protein and your fat, I think a little bit more may be coming from protein. If you're thinking that you're doing protein 3 times a day, and you're adding your healthy fats in, that's probably the government's recommendation, although the way I eat may be a little bit different for me. Again, if you really want to know, I gave you those places you can go look online, PubMed, harvard.edu, read all about it. But then at the end of the day, you have to really ask yourself, what works for you, right? You have some people recommend you get 60% of your calories from carbohydrates. You see that recommendation a lot around doctors who really push a plant-based diet or a vegan diet. People at that point are getting most of their, calories from the plant kingdom, which will have protein and carbs. So it just kind of depends on your diet. I know that's not the exact answer you're probably looking for, but there's a lot of if this, but then that. I'll give you a final example. Like for me, because I don't eat any animal products, right? I may get a cream or a dairy in a piece of bread or something very kind of random or scarce, but 95% of the time or more, I'm eating nothing but plants. And so think about that then. My fat, my protein, and my carbs are all the same foods. You see, they're all the same foods then, because my nuts or my carbs and my fat my beans are my carbs and my protein. So it's all the same for me. So I don't really think about it so much and how we break it down because I don't eat that way. But you know, you do have the government recommendations of 45%. Sometimes you see 60% of calories coming from carbohydrates. Okay, that's my hard stop. If there's any questions I didn't get to, again, please email me. Again, I want to emphasize that these classes are usually 2 hours long, so I can slow down and we can have more of a conversation back and forth. My people in my classes, they challenge me, we go back and forth, and we come to an answer and a resolution. Right now, I'm trying to just give you high level information just to get you thinking and to get you started. I hope it was helpful in some way. I have whole presentations on nothing but carbohydrates. I have a whole 2-hour PowerPoint presentation on nothing but carbohydrates. If you're interested in more details, when I say I have presentations on almost every topic, that I'm willing to share information from with you, please email me. And I don't say that just to say it. People email me all the time, and I get so much joy from being able to answer your questions in more detail. So once again, thank you for having me, and I wish you so much luck on your own personal health and wellness journey.
Thank you so much, Dr. Akua. We really do appreciate the time that you spent with us throughout this entire series and all the information that you shared with us. I personally have learned so much. And to all the attendees, we are really grateful for you joining us. We'll be sending an email in the next couple of days with the next steps and also links to other resources. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you soon, hopefully. Bye.